Is it the Misfit Network or the Misfire Network?
It's
or
the Mischief.
The Mischift.
The Mischief. The Mischief.
The Mischief.
Did anybody look up if the domain was
I
available?
did.
Is it?
As far as like YouTube channels and Instagrams, nobody's using it.
Okay.
For websites and merch.
Yeah, we need that for merch. If we decide to monetize this podcast.
When we blow up.
Yeah, when we get more than 500 followers. So,
yes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that is our introduction. Hello, everyone. This is the Mischiefs Podcast. To my left, I have Jeremy, and to my right, I have James.
Hello.
I am Myles, and we're just going to go ahead and jump in. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is our first one, so we're just going to start off with some brief introductions, and then we're going to get into the beginning of it all, how we all became car guys, and how we ended up here.
Yeah, in California.
Right.
Yeah.
Very far away from home for actually all of us. I think we're all
we're all transplants?
Yeah, we're all East Coasters.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm from the Midwest.
Well, I am a Midwester too, but everybody's like
East.
We're from the East.
From east of the Mississippi.
Yes.
Okay.
We were not West Coasters to begin with. I guess I'll start off. So, Myles, as we all know, I currently work at an R&D facility out here in the Bay doing very secret car things, not so secret. But I'm more in the prototyping world and things that are to come rather than things that are out right now. Jeremy, what do you do? Give us a little, where are you at right now? And
I'm Jeremy. I don't know that I want to say where I am right now.
You don't want to share where you work at?
I don't know if
You could say undisclosed,
undisclosed.
auto group.
I do work in the automotive industry locally.
Is there a particular focus that you have?
Yes. So I lead a team that works on high voltage charging products.
Okay.
For a local auto manufacturer.
Perfect. I couldn't have thought of a better
By
description.
Process of elimination, you could probably figure that out.
Maybe
eventually.
you can figure that out, but
I don't know. There's a few in the Bay Area.
There's
are
more
a few.
than you think.
Yeah. Definitely more than you think.
More than you think.
I guess I'll go next.
Yeah, how about
Yes.
you?
I'm James. I'm not in the automotive industry, but I've been in marketing for, 13, 14 years now. Obviously very passionate about cars. Have owned a lot of cars over time. I actually worked at a Bentley dealership starting out very early on in my career. I have a lot of stories about that. And I live in San Francisco. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to do an episode sometime about all of the cars we've owned.
Yeah.
Because I bet there's some pretty interesting ones.
Yeah. I mean, we can kind of get into it a little bit here. We can go over them, but maybe go deeper later on.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll start out. I'll talk about how I kind of got into cars, how we became car people. So grew up in the Midwest, grew up in Detroit. I am born and raised from Detroit, Michigan. Shout out to all my Detroiters out there and my Michiganders. Detroit is known as the Motor City, so we grew up with the big three. I'm pretty sure almost all of my family members, currently, past, former, present, have worked for or worked at either Ford, General Motors, or Chrysler.
Oh, wow.
My sister currently works on the F-150 line. So,
okay.
she is putting together all of those pickups for you guys.
Wow.
Little skinny mini herself. But when I was young, my dad was kind of in the cars, was like, oh yeah, I'll just go get the fastest kind of cheap muscle car at the time. I know he's told me stories about his Monte Carlos and other things. But when I was born, he had a 2002 Ford True Blue Mustang GT, the 4.6.
Okay.
SN95.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of the start of it. That's a very slow car by today's standards, but it was the car that kind of introduced me into the car world, that shaky V8 and rolling through the gears. I had a 5-speed and it was always really fun to watch him drive it. And he drove it so fast all the time with all of us in it.
It made good sounds.
They sounded great. They just weren't.
They just weren't great.
They
didn't have. I don't think they had an independent rear suspension, right? That was only the SVT Cobra.
Yes, they had
03 SVT Cobra.
That didn't come till much later, I don't think, did it?
What, IRS?
Independent. Well,
IRS.
IRS came way later, like the S550, right?
Yes, the
Yeah.
S550 was the first mass-produced,
Yeah.
where the base Mustang had IRS, but you could get IRS on SN95 Cobras and
Right.
stuff like that.
Anyway, sorry, tangent.
No,
car
it's
guy
okay.
tangent.
This is how it's gonna go. We're here to have fun. But pretty much, I grew up. I was born in 1998, so I'm young, guys. Bear with me.
Baby.
I am very, very new to life.
I don't know if we want to go there.
I know. We won't mention ages past this point.
Just so that you guys have a perspective on why I like what I like. So I grew up in that Too
It's a good
Fast,
point.
Too Furious,
Right.
Need for Speed, Underground. That was my era. So I was JDM, Hot Boy, things modified to all the craziness. I mean,
What was the Eclipse in Too Fast, Too Furious? Who drove that again?
the Eclipse. Brian.
No, Brian didn't drive the Eclipse.
Yes, he did.
He
In the
drove
first movie, he
No, in the
had it.
first one's a GSX.
Right.
Eclipse.
Oh, you're talking
I'm
about...
talking about the second one.
That was Tyrese.
Tyrese was like the third gen Eclipse or something.
Yeah, he had the
silver one
yes,
with like the
the convertible with
Alpine,
the sway,
I think like the Alpine
leather
audio or something like that. Anyways, sorry, another tangent.
But yeah, so I grew up with all of that. And my dad would always like buy me whatever latest racing game kind of came out.
Okay.
And that's where it all stemmed from. And I'm probably like the only real car guy in my family. My parents like cool cars, but they just like nice cars for the sake of this is a nice car.
Yeah.
Not so much like the performance or what it can do, but like, oh, does it have the big engine? Did it come with all the right options? Is it fast? Good,
It's just cool.
Right, it's just cool.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to, you're like, oh, how fast can I get around this corner? What are the 0 to 60 times? How many G-forces is it going to pull?
Are they button pushers? Do they like having features? I love cars with
Just
lots of
like
buttons to
get
push.
gadgets and gizmos kind of
yeah,
thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
Or is it more about speed and
It's more about speed.
Style,
My-
like style,
style
speed.
and speed. My mom is a button pusher, but my parents aren't super tech savvy. They're definitely like getting in here and like, what does this do? Like my mom has like a new Buick and it has like the little flip button transmission, and she's like, oh, this is different.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
But to continue on, so growing up, just really enjoyed everything about driving. I loved having the minivan to pick up all my friends. I loved having the Mustang to show off to all of my friends. And then it kind of began to grow and stem as I got through high school. I started to get more into racing and watching it on TV. And I was never really big into NASCAR, but I always liked touring car racing. So GT3 and GT4.
Oh, like German DTM stuff.
That type of stuff. I was like, that's very
yeah.
appealing, especially growing up playing Gran Turismo, which was like the
It's
gateway
a huge
drug.
influence on people for sure. Yeah.
Even more so than Need for Speed, because that really introduced you into like professional racing,
Right.
And what it has to offer.
Right.
But growing up doing all of that, I began my college career. I am a mechanical engineering student. And as much as people think that has things to do with cars, it has nothing to do with the car.
No, it does.
I mean, it does,
bit.
but it's not automotive based. It just, I feel like a lot of people
You can concentrate on SAE. You
I
know.
think if
Yeah,
you go
you
to the
can.
right place, it can be.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
it
you're
can-
right. It was not for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas it's just you're learning all the physics behind the car. But getting my ME degree, in the time of getting my ME degree, I have had a numerous of different car jobs and in and out of the automotive industry. I think my first car related job was I worked as a detailer at a Honda dealership.
Oh, fun fact.
Yes, fun fact. I was a detailer. I was wiping those cars down. And let me tell you something. Honda people are a little dirty. They just...
I'm sure. Well, it's you're driving a glorified blender, right? So how often are you gonna stick it in the dishwashing machine, right? You're gonna keep that thing a little dirty.
a blender.
I'm serious. Yeah,
Boy,
I
I've
mean
got
that's already my opinion.
Story about a loaner car at a car dealership.
Uh-oh.
Siri
Siri's not happy right
she's
now.
interrupting us. Tell us about your loaner story, Jeremy, and then I'll continue on about life as car people.
When I was in school, I was a lot porter at a BMW dealership in Florida, where I'm
Oh,
from.
cool.
And we had a fleet at the time of BMW loaner cars that was
Mm-hmm.
operated and maintained by the dealership. And one of them was an E39, I'm aging myself, 5 Series wagon,
Oh shit! Really?
Oh, shoot.
champagne over beige,
Oh wow!
nice
That's a
Champagne
nice-
over beige.
That's a pretty nice spec. Like
soccer
that's,
mom spec. Can I say that?
Yeah, soccer mom. Or like it's like the grandpa spec. You know, it's not
It is, but it was a nice car, right?
right.
yeah.
It came in one day, I think on a Friday, and by Monday, you opened the door in that car and it reeked. It was bad. Well, it turns out after they ripped the interior out of the car, somebody had dumped a gallon of milk. Like they had gone to the grocery store.
Oh, and just like spilled out
like,
or whatever,
spilled.
and they never
no.
like cleaned it up.
Yeah, they had to rip the interior out of that car
Oh my
to
gosh!
clean it and get it dried out
Yeah.
and not smelling. But
That's very crazy.
Nasty.
yeah. Anyways,
I've it was a lot of pet hair. You know, I worked in Bloomfield Hills, if you know where that is, and let me tell you, they had a lot of pets out there. And shortly after that, I got my first pre-production type job. There was a job position in Michigan, and a lot of people know about it, where you literally just test drive pre-production cars for 8 hours a day. And
Oh
you're
right,
just like
yeah.
on the road. And then that kind of began to stem my enjoyment of the new and innovative side of cars, and like kind of like that secret life of like camouflage and what's coming out
Right.
next, and
Right.
you know, gathering all the data to kind of improve upon the vehicle before it.
did you ever get tired of being in the car for?
Oh
8
yeah,
hours?
it was horrible. Like I would tell people, they'd be
Because
like,
you could just only go on the highway, like up and down.
I had a set route, and it was like 340 miles a day.
Wow.
And like, I was driving cool cars. Like I drove like, I did a lot of like Chrysler testing. So I drove the current, I think it's like WL, which is like the current Grand Cherokee
Okay.
that's out now.
Okay.
So I drove that. I was driving that back in like 2018, 2019.
Oh, wow, okay.
Well before it came out in like the Ram 392 and like Gladiator before it was released.
Oh, with the V8.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Oh,
So
okay,
like a lot of that stuff, it's really cool, and the job looks like really cool on the outside, and it's just kind of like, oh, this is fun. But then you like are working.
Get it? Yeah, you do it.
And then you're like, this sucks. Like
when
I
your
want-
like hobby turns into a job.
right,
And, like,
you know,
yeah.
and then it's
Yeah.
not fun.
Yeah.
So, but I enjoyed it for the time being. It was like a nice placeholder. It was something really fun to do while I was in college, because also while I was in college, I was on my college SAE formula team.
Oh, okay.
So we're
yeah.
building like the
Oh,
little.
you never talked about that before.
Oh, I've never told you that we were like building little formula cars.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I
you
didn't
were
know
in the
that you were on the
SAE.
team.
Okay, yeah, nice.
Okay.
So I helped out. I joined the team as a freshman,
Okay.
and I helped out the aero body side of the team.
Yeah.
And we worked on. Well, I personally worked on the wing mount.
Okay.
So the year that I joined was like the first year that we kind of, as a team, we're trying to get into like the upper ranks,
Okay.
and just like real formula, Stuttgart and Two Gratz are the.
So not like a Briggs and Stratton motor, but like a Hayabusa motor with like
Yeah.
an X track or
So
whatever.
we had a, I think it was like 710 cc limit. I don't know what the rule
Okay,
is
okay.
today because it's been a while.
Yeah.
That seems pretty big for.
That's
those
big
little
for a
cars.
cart.
Yeah, no, they're really quick carts. But we had a Yamaha R6 motor the year that I was on the team.
Oh.
And it was like the first year that we really put a lot of development into CAD and CFD, and like our plenum was CNC'd on a 5-axis machine.
Oh, wow.
And like, you know,
Fancy.
we wanted to do a swan neck wing, if you know anything
Oh,
about how
okay.
that works.
Yeah.
The way the physics works is that the cleaner air underneath the wing shooting up.
It's like
is what's
less
actually-
drag, right?
yeah.
And then it has like comparatively less drag, but more downforce compared to like a traditional like strut mount or whatever.
Right.
Forgot
Also,
what the-
just
yeah.
like the positioning of where you're mounting the wing, it's closer to the center of the vehicle. Everything is kind of just nicer balanced.
Okay, I see.
You know, I could be very wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the.
I'm sure somebody will. It's the internet, so
you're
somebody will correct us.
And we're like, it was actually because of, you know, XYZ element of P, you know. But so that being on the formula team really, really kind of opened my eyes to what was possible behind the wheel, because we got to drive them, as well as like what I could do as a designer, what I could do as an engineer, and what, you know, what people were doing in their everyday life, you know, making fun cars fast and just kind of being really creative with it. And then that's when I made my first major car purchase. I bought my little Mini Cooper.
Oh yeah.
Jeremy, you didn't know me when I had the Mini Cooper, but James did.
Which version?
I had a Cooper S hardtop.
R50.
Oh, I had a F56.
F.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. So for those
I'm going
of you
home
that
today and studying.
What year was that? Oh,
So F56 was 2014.
Oh, okay.
I consider that year, that was the year that BMW like fully took over Mini. That's when you were getting the $40,000-$50,000 Mini Coopers.
but it wasn't a John Cooper's Works.
No, I
right,
just had a
Jada?
base
Just
Cooper
a
S.
Cooper. I mean, that's not a base though.
Well, it wasn't base. Well, I mean, it was a base. It was a Cooper S with like no options.
A low. But that's like the most pure fun to
And
drive.
that's what
Yeah.
people would say.
Right.
People would say I probably had the best one.
Manual too.
Yep, I had
Yeah.
the it was a 6-speed.
Yeah.
And really funny story about that. I had just picked it up and I came back to the Formula Lab one night and two of my buddies were there, Dave and Liz. And Dave was like, can I drive the car? I was like, sure. So I hopped in the back seat. You could actually fit 4 people in the new
Yeah,
Minis.
they're actually kind of spacious. Yeah.
And I had just a 2-door hardtop with like no sunroof, no nothing. It had the lighting package and the nice wheels, which is pretty much all you needed.
Yeah.
And he's like driving it, and Dave is a pretty good driver, so he's like heel toeing and stuff. And he's like, I think your car is like rev matching. And I was like, what? And he's
Did it
like,
have rev match?
Look, yeah, no. So
Oh,
the car had
nice.
auto rev matching, and I had no idea. Auto
That's
rev matching.
Pretty high tech for a kind of little sporty.
Yeah.
Hatchback.
And it was a 2014.
And a 14, yeah.
That was the first
Yeah.
year for the F56. So it was the first year for
okay.
the redesign,
Okay.
I think that was the first year for auto rev match in the 991.
which would have probably also been the first year for the BMW, which is similar to the current one I have right now, which is a F30,
Yeah.
which is actually a 2014. We'll get to that car eventually.
Can I just interrupt you real quick? It's funny when you're talking about a Mini Cooper and an F designation. I immediately went to like R53. I think. What was the first
So
one?
the first one was
2001?
R53.
R53.
Yep, that would have been like 2000
Not-
to like
it was-
2004.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Not to
Then
age
after
myself.
that, we got R56.
Yeah. Yeah. When did they go to F designation?
It would have been 2014. So late
Confused.
R model minis, so like Countrymen and stuff, they became turboed. I want to say around 2013.
All of them
2014.
became turbo.
All of them became turbo.
Cool. So
wait a
was
minute.
yours supercharged?
No. So the early minis, the early Cooper S's were supercharged.
Yeah, but then they went to the turbo around 06.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
I'm
The
getting schooled here.
S's maybe.
Yeah,
The
I
bases,
might be a little wrong, but I'm pretty sure the turbos came later. And then for sure with the F generation, that was like a BMW B48. Which
Where the hell did they make these cars again?
Oh, where did they make
Were they in
them?
the UK? Were they UK only? Or did they make them here, like in Alabama or like
No, so they make them in the UK. I don't know if they built them here. So BMW
or assembled?
I think they're made in the UK.
In the
I think
UK,
they're
they
made in the
export.
UK.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah.
But
Anyways, sorry.
to continue on, Mini Cooper rev matching, and that was pretty much like my gateway car to then a lot of,
Like sports cars and
Yeah.
just cars in general.
but then also just mischief in the city.
I see. Yeah. Yeah.
Growing up in Detroit, it's very flat, so there's not a lot of canyon carving, or even like there's a couple of racetracks in Michigan. There's M1, which is in Pontiac, and
Okay,
then
yeah.
there's I think it's also Waterford Hills.
Are those all NASCAR tracks?
No. M1 and Waterford Hills are like road courses,
Okay.
or like circuits. The big NASCAR track is MIS Michigan International Speedway.
Okay.
I might have that wrong, which is also where they hold the Formula competition, the Formula SAE competition.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Where all the schools from all over the
Oh,
world.
the national one or international one?
I think it's international.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that's, like I said, just like in real F1, Stuttgart and Two Graz, which are
Right,
an
they
Austrian
come
and
kick everybody's
German
ass.
team, because
Yeah.
they were the Formula SAE team backed by Mercedes. Of course, they were going to win. I don't know if it still holds true today, but yes, they had probably just as much unlimited budget
Yeah.
as the real Mercedes F1 team did at one point in time. But still a fun competition to go to nonetheless, and kind of gets you into that motorsport mindset of prepping, getting everything ready. But the formula competition was even more than just a motorsports competition. It was, can your car turn? Can it endure?
It was everything, right?
Yeah, it was also a cost analysis. So you had to do a business presentation on why this would be an effective like car to sell, you know. So there was a lot. There was a lot into it. And you had like an extensive like design and safety review before you were allowed to do any of the driving portion.
Right.
They also have the tilt table. Where
What's
they'll
the tilt table?
They'll put your car on the
Like the
table,
weight,
and
like-
they
Yeah.
will tilt it all the way up as far as it can pretty much go.
And it's got to stay there.
Yep, it has to be able to stay so low CG.
Okay.
Also, just to make sure that your fluids are not coming out. you know,
it's a student prepped car, right?
right?
So
They're-
like,
we're not allowed to have any professional help. Although I went to Lawrence Tech. They have a lot of automaker backed. We had like a lot of help from the manufacturer.
Okay.
You know, so
like advice or advisory,
or even
stuff.
just like actual like parts, or because we had like sponsorships,
right,
and, like,
donations and
Yeah.
stuff.
Who did the layup for like your wing and the
I
fairings
can-
and
I
stuff?
can-
Did you do that yourself? Or?
I didn't do it myself. I helped, but our body lead Morgan at the time, he pretty much instituted like all of that, and I think he even worked to pretty much get our relationship built up with Ford. So what we did is everybody was very proficient with CAD, like at a very advanced level. Morgan pretty much designed the entire body for the car and then presented the design to Ford, and Ford CNC'd foam molds for us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then we had a environmental chamber oven at school.
Oh wow. So
And
was it made out of fiberglass or was it made
No,
out
it was
of
carbon fiber.
Carbon
Oh my
fiber.
god.
Yeah, so
so you
we
laid it
had pre-impregnated carbon fiber
Wow.
and probably $10,000 worth of deep freezer rolls of this carbon fiber.
Oh my
Nice.
gosh.
So we would have the mold CNC'd, then we used another local shop that did a lot of carbon fiber work, and we would hand buff the mold so that
Yeah,
we get
yeah.
a really nice finish.
Yeah.
Then the molds would be baked, and then we would like vacuum bag. And then, so our airfoils on the wing, those were done on in the environmental chamber with pre-impregnated carbon fiber. Our diffuser was done on a very large table with suction, and it was
Yeah,
infused.
you had a bunch of hoses in
right,
it, right? Yeah, yeah.
And you like kind of pull the epoxy through, and you let it set.
Were you hand cutting the carbon fiber, or was that CNC cut?
The carbon
pieces.
fiber, we would hand cut it. We hand cut it and kind of lay it in,
Yeah,
and just
like
kind of
literally
mold
with
it.
like an X-Acto knife. Or
Yep,
whatever.
and then like vacuum bag it, and like it's been so long, but like getting those bags together was
pain in the ass.
it was something else.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a carbon splinter?
No, I didn't. I've never got a carbon splinter. I don't think I've ever gotten a fiberglass splinter.
They're not fun.
They're not.
I was a
fun.
little
It's
too
painful.
young. No, I was definitely too young. Unfortunately, my generation growing up and getting into the car scene started to move away from a lot of that built at home kind of stuff, you know, and it
Well,
became,
things just got more
it
complicated,
did.
right?
It became more complicated, but then it also became easier. It's like, oh, I can just buy a body kit that's made, slap it
Yeah,
on,
pre-made, yeah.
and it's done with minimal fiberglass and Bondo work. Also, just my unique experience, because I can't speak for everybody.
Well, the
it
quality
just
got better too.
yeah, they did.
Quality and then tuning, right? The plug and play.
Right, everything became a lot more plug and play. Just in my scene and how I grew up, it was more just buy the cool car and run it, than try to build something from scratch.
Right.
Which isn't necessarily a generational thing, but just the area that I came from. It was like buy it, turbo it, you know, tune, get it as fast as you could, so we could go street race at night. I never lost my license, by the way.
It's amazing. Yeah,
I've
you never got
never-
in jail. Never
Never went
lost
to
your
jail,
license.
never
You
lost a
passed the
license.
statute of limitations.
Oh yeah, well beyond.
I mean, you're putting this out.
Oh yeah, they're well beyond. They
Yeah.
where they what is it? They didn't see me do it, so they can't convict me.
Yeah,
on
exactly.
it.
No double jeopardy.
Right. But yeah, so that's pretty much how I kind of got into the car scene, and it just kind of all stemmed from there. Ended up eventually moving out here to work at a private motorsports shop, doing Porsche mechanic work as my first professional mechanic job. And That was very fun. That's how I met you.
Yeah, that's how you met me.
So I met James when he was driving his black GT3.
That's right. Yeah.
It was the first customer car that I worked on. And
Oh, it was the first customer car that you
yeah,
worked
thank
on?
God I didn't mess it
Yeah.
up.
The wheels somehow still kept on that thing. So
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. And you
Thanks,
drove it
Miles.
pretty hard.
I did drive it really, really hard. Yeah. That was during COVID. So it was like
Yeah.
everything was my own personal racetrack.
We did a lot of car stuff during COVID. We were outside a lot.
Yeah. It was safe.
Yeah, it was safe
Yeah.
to be outside.
Yeah.
It wasn't safe to be inside, but it was very safe to be
well,
outside.
you could be inside your car.
Right.
You could be outside, chatting with people in
Right.
parking lots. Like,
Yeah,
it
and
was
that's
totally
what
cool. Yeah.
we did a lot of car meets Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like almost every night of the week we were doing a car meet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's pretty much my little story. I don't want to talk forever.
No, let's go with Jeremy. I like
Yeah.
his shirt too, the
I know,
1973.
he's like-
that thing's cool.
My parents gave me the shirt.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't own a 73 RS 2.7.
It would be nice.
That would
We
be
could
really
dream.
cool.
We
Yeah.
could dream. So, Jeremy, how did you
How did I get into cars?
into cars?
It
Yes.
runs in the family.
Oh,
So my dad's dad, my grandfather, was a car guy,
Okay.
kind of a minor car guy.
okay.
I say minor because, he had some cool cars. He had like a list of cool cars long before I was born, like Chrysler Woody.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He had a 21 window microbus, Volkswagen.
A Volkswagen microbus.
Those are really popular.
Like 50s and 60s.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that rubbed off on my dad. My dad was into British cars when he was a young man growing
see.
up.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like MGs.
yeah, so he had an Austin Healey Sprite,
Okay.
which
yeah.
is like an MG midget.
Yeah.
He had, I think the most notable one, he had a convertible TVR Griffith.
Oh, he had a Griffith.
He
He had a
really
Griffith. And
Could you get Griffiths here?
No.
You could. Yeah. You
Oh, we could?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we could. Oh,
But
yeah, yeah.
the catch was there was no such thing as a convertible TVR Griffith. And so the legend has it that this car in a prior life was run underneath a tractor trailer and the roof was sheared off.
Oh, my God.
What?
Hopefully nothing happened to the driver, but
Hopefully
it's all
not.
part of the legend.
Right.
And so he wanted this car, and
What year is his car? 70 something?
this was this would have been it would have been 60s.
Oh, it's
My
a
parents
60s
were
Griffith.
newlywed,
Okay.
and my mom was a teacher, and my dad was still working his way through college.
Okay.
And he wanted this car, and they didn't really have much money at all. My mom said, "All right, you quit." He smoked cigarettes at the time. If you quit smoking, you can buy the car. Thinking
an
he's
expensive
not
habit.
going to quit
So-
smoking.
Yeah.
Well, he threw the pack away and never picked him up again. So he got the car, and so that's just one of many. Anyways,
Sounds like you really liked working on cars because there's no way I'd buy a British car.
oh yeah, he still owns one today. He still has an Austin Healey today.
Wow.
Wow.
When did TVR pull out of the United States? Because I think
Probably
about,
before I was born.
yeah.
Some-
Because I think
in the
about all the
70s.
new TVR stuff and just how riddled with electrical.
I mean,
like-
just the whole company was a basket case.
Yeah.
It's very much a niche company too.
It is,
Yeah.
but they make really cool.
Oh, I know they make
cars.
cool cars.
They make
for
cool
sure,
cars,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But anyways, so those are kind of, I guess what led up to me being a car guy. So when I was a little kid, my dad had a 1950 Ford F1 pickup,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
and
Yeah.
the guy he bought it from had put a small block Chevy in it, which
Oh, that seems like anti.
I
you
know,
like
some of our listeners
Perpetrating.
yeah, like
might be cringing right now, but the sound that truck made
I'm sure.
is something
yeah.
that sticks with me to this day. It's still in the family.
Oh,
Really?
My brother owns it now. It's in Florida. So my dad had it, and it was it was a work truck. It was where we went to Home Depot, and my parents bought
Damn.
I'm pretty
stuff for the
sure
house, right?
all of my parents' cars have blown up. Like,
Well, eventually,
spontaneously combusted. There is not a single family car that has lasted.
Intact. Yeah.
eventually, I think the small block did blow up. But
Okay.
my dad sold the truck to my uncle, and yeah, the engine was old and it died. So my uncle repowered it again with a Ford. I think a 302 out of like a Fox Body Mustang or something.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. But it didn't have the sound. It just
Yeah.
wasn't the same. I know people are going to cringe.
No,
hearing
let me
say
tell you
that, but,
something. The Chevy motors, they just
yeah,
they just do something. That's why everything has an LS swap in it.
I don't think they're the best sounding.
Well, I won't say the
engine.
best. There, of course, there's like better
I think
sounding.
the Coyote, like the
Coyote's
whatever,
pretty nice
like
sounding.
Ford has specifically engineered that motor to sound good. Like
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
the headers come off and like where
And it's
the,
a very unique sound.
yeah,
in
sure.
today and
Just the
age.
velocity stacks a certain way with
Yeah.
induction and firing order. All the thing is designed to like sound good.
I could agree. I'm not a choppy V8 kind of person.
Cammed.
Yeah,
Well, cam
I like-
cars don't even do anything. Like they don't. It's all high. Like you're just gas mileage.
James, you can't say that.
I have so many hot takes. It's just
You can't
a
say
cam
that.
car is so dumb.
No,
Anyways,
they're-
no, let Jeremy
One
finish
of
his
these days
story
we'll have
stuff.
to have
ahead.
an outtake episode.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
we'll have to have a camshaft episode.
a cam about.
A
I mean,
camshaft.
we've had
episode.
conversations about flat plane cams. And,
Right, and the difference
And the
and like
differences.
vibrations and cars rattling
Yeah,
themselves
yeah.
apart.
Yeah.
But continue, Jeremy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I'm still on this Ford. My uncle got it and restored it. My uncle was a sailor,
Oh, okay.
right? He loved sailboats, so he knew how to work fiberglass.
Okay.
He
Alright.
did not know how to weld,
Oh.
or maybe he did, but he didn't have a welder. So all of the rust repair in this truck is fiberglass.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Has its downsides,
Right.
Sure.
but he got tired of it and basically gave it to my brother. So my brother's the caretaker of it now. It doesn't get used much, but it still runs
there,
and drives.
right? It runs,
and
it drives, it runs.
My brother and his boys just fuel injected it.
Oh,
Oh,
They did one of the Phytech.
Yeah, yeah,
think-
yeah. It's like a kit.
Yeah, exactly. It's a kit. So he consulted
cool.
with me a little bit
That's
about
cool.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Make it more usable
Right.
for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fast, right?
No, at least you can start up, right? You don't have to worry about a
Right.
carburetor. And,
I'm not out
you know,
there with like the
Yeah.
can of hairspray and like
Well,
gasoline trying to get it to
and
fire
for
up.
something that sits around most of the time.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
It's safer actually if it's injected or whatever.
Yeah.
'Cause I've had horror stories about hearing about people not running the car for a while, and then like flooding it with gas, and then
there's a
kaboom.
Mid-year CIS powered 911s
oh.
Ooh, that happens, huh?
with the backfiring. Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh.
snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Mm.
Anyways,
What's your first sports car
my first sports
or
car.
car like fun car in general, or did you have like a boring car first? And
My
then-
first car was a 1987 Honda Accord,
My
Oh,
first
sick.
car.
with the pop-up headlights.
My,
Oh, wow.
My first
Like
car
that.
was a 2006 Acura TSX. So we drove
Wait,
blenders.
what?
We
You-
drove
you had a-
blenders.
but TSX is a pretty
My
sweet
TSX
car.
had 225,000 miles on it when I bought
Okay,
it.
never
Yeah, it
mind.
probably ran like new.
Oh yeah, it did. It was just getting broken in.
Yeah,
The bumper was falling off.
yeah.
It was black on cream interior, but I drove the wheels. The
It had a
wheels
cream
off that car.
interior?
Yeah,
Ugh.
with like brown wood. It was definitely like the
It had wood,
yeah. Well,
like plastic wood.
yeah,
Yeah.
It wasn't it
Luxury.
wasn't real wood grain, but
It's painted wood.
Yeah. So my first sports car was a 1987 944S that I bought off my brother.
A 1987 94S?
944.
944S.
Yes, the
Twin cam,
Ooh. Not turbo.
non-turbo, twin cam, led a rough life.
Five
sure.
speed, right?
I think they
5
all
speed?
did.
5 speed?
I think every
Yeah.
944 was
Yeah.
used and abused, especially for how much they were and how much people
How
like
much they
hated
were
those
new?
cars.
How much
Yeah.
they were
They
new
were-
were really expensive.
Yeah, they were. I think
Yeah.
in the late 80s that was a
It was a hot car.
35,000.
Yeah, which is a lot.
Yeah, which is a lot of that was a lot of money for a car.
Yeah, so that was my
For a 911, or not for a 911, for a Porsche that didn't have the engine in the back,
Yeah.
especially,
Yeah.
it was a slow car, but it was extremely well balanced.
That's what
Because
Christian
it
said.
has
Transaxle.
a transaxle. That's
With the
right.
torque
Yeah,
tube.
transaxle torque tube.
It dropped a valve, and so that was my introduction to working on cars.
It's quite the
How
start.
was working on that car?
It wasn't that bad, really.
Yeah, because everything's right up front.
I mean-
it's a 4-cylinder, so it wasn't
Yeah,
like
access was easy. The
Room,
biggest
yeah.
thing was the water pump had leaked, right? So
Was that like an engine out thing, or was that like more? of a
no, I
pain
did
in
it
the butt?
all in bay.
Oh, okay.
Or in the engine
this is
bay.
when you could work on the engine bay
Yeah,
of a
you
car
have to
without,
take off a bunch of plastic and,
or the new
hands
911s, you can't even see the engine. You just have to believe that it's there.
Yeah.
And that it's working.
Well, the new 911, it's a bumper out service to change the air filter.
Ever since 991.
Ever since
and I can
991.
attest to it because I have done a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had that. I had an E36 M3 after that.
Oh, cool.
Oh, interesting story. The current owner of that E36 M3 recently reached out to me.
Oh.
The car is still, I bought it. It was somebody's garage queen, so it was
Okay.
like pristine.
Okay.
I kept
Yeah.
it a few years and sold it. It's still a garage queen, although it's getting used properly now.
Oh, that's
Okay.
good.
But I guess when I say garage queen, it's in really good shape. The guy that owns it is in Southern California.
Oh, wow.
He found my name on some paperwork in it. All the records are still with the car. And reached out to me.
Found you
And
online.
you're like, where are you in the world? I'm
Well,
actually
he had
just
my
on-
phone number.
oh, of course. Yeah,
was
you
on a
sold it to him.
receipt.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And my phone number's still the same.
It goes to show how easy it is to get your information.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
E36 M3.
yeah.
Was that the Euro? So we got the US spec.
So it was the US spec S50, which is not the real S50.
Okay, so me and Jeremy are BMW people now, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm talking S50 like everybody in the world knows what an S50 is.
Explain it to us very briefly, Jeremy.
So BMWs with S designations before their engines are M engines.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
M Motorsport engines.
yeah, motorsport engines.
Mm.
And the S50 was the E36 M3 engine.
Right.
The European versions had individual throttle bodies, and I
Mhm.
think it was actually a different block. I think the US spec S50 was more or less a warmed over.
Was the capacity still the same? Was it like a 2.5 liter? Or?
It was a 3-liter.
3 liter.
Oh, there are 3 liters.
They came, if I'm not mistaken, I might be
School me on this.
misremembering this. They came out of a different 3 Series that we already had here.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, but we didn't get the better M3 motor for E36, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
It was still a fun car.
I'm
bet,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
still a fun car.
And the values of those are going up as we speak.
Yeah, they stayed low for a long time.
They were really cheap
They were
cars for a
cheap
long time.
I think
so were
be-
944s.
Well, yeah, I
944s
think
too,
because
yeah.
I think E36 and 944 both kind of speak to like a turning point for BMW and Porsche at the time, where Porsche was experimenting. And I feel like E36 isn't the most loved. Initially, it wasn't the most loved M3.
I think that's true. It's still not the most loved in there.
Yeah, I think shortly after when we got E46,
Yeah.
people were like, oh my God.
Well, look at the
Yeah.
values of E46s.
Well, let me tell you something. In my childhood, there was a game called Need for Speed Most Wanted. And this is
Yeah,
why
it
you
is.
can't buy an E46 for less
E46
than
GTR.
$50,000. Yes, it was in the video game. The hero car was this is why I love
was a DTM
BMWs.
car.
It was a DTM. It was, I guess, considered a GT500 car or like Super GT. But it was the E46 M3 GTR. The homologated street car. There's only 5 of them in the entire world. And it is the E46 with the V8, as it should have been.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that. Continue, Jeremy.
Where was I? My next one, I had a free 924S.
Okay.
A 924S.
So
For
you
free.
imagine a skinny fendered 944 with the 8-valve engine. Essentially, that's what that
Okay.
was.
So still a 4-banger.
Still a 4-banger.
Yeah.
Ugly car.
Yeah, they
Hideously
didn't
ugly.
look great.
No, but it was so much fun.
Okay.
It
Especially
was.
because it was free.
Because
You have
like,
to tell us how
like,
you got it.
like the
Or-
lure of the
It was free until it
924
wasn't.
isn't the lure of the 924 like a failed VW
Yes.
project
so
Yeah.
the
or
original,
something?
exactly. It was I think a car that
VW was gonna make.
VW Audi
It was like a joint venture.
didn't want to make,
Or yeah, they like.
and so Porsche picked it
They
up.
they basically like gave it to Porsche like, oh, you guys are going to go bankrupt, so like here's just take this.
Yeah,
Something of
exactly.
that nature,
So it was
yeah.
like late 70s into
Because it had a
Say
bunch of like
81.
Scirocco VW stuff on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of that car was VW.
Yes.
and it reappeared in the U.S. in 87 and 88 as the S. And
Oh,
it had
that's
the
what
base
happened.
944 motor. So the 2.5 liter, 8-valve. Yeah, single cam.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh.
It was fun. It's another project.
And that was transaxle too, right?
It was
Yeah.
basically the same as the 944.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that gets me up through 2007.
Oh, we're almost to 2024. All right. Well, James, what is your
Me?
history?
My
As-
history with cars, or like
Yes.
how did I get in cars?
Yeah. How'd you become a
my
car
parents were always kind of like indirectly into cars. Like my dad had a 87. Do you remember like the Mazda Protege? It was like a hatchback.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? I forgot what they used to call it. Before they called it like 3.5.
It was like
It was a
323,
Protege.
wasn't it?
Was it just called a Protege?
Yeah, I don't
But
know how
before
far.
the Protege.
Was there something
It
before
was
the
an
Protege?
87.
It was
So I
a-
don't know what they
was it
called
not a
it.
323?
323.
Oh yeah, because they had 323. They also had the.
Six-
It was a
626.
323,
Yep, the
626, yeah.
And the 929.
Yeah.
Wait, there was a 929.
There was a 929. It was a luxury car.
That was only that was
Oh.
Japan only though, or it came here.
Yeah, because we also had the 626 here. as
Another
well.
uncle of mine had a 929.
Was it rotary or no?
I don't think
I
so.
feel
We
like in
didn't get any of
Japan
the
they
cool
had like a
rotaries.
luxury rotary.
I will tell you
9.
exactly what it's called.
Yes.
It is called the.
You know what I'm talking about?
The Unos Cosmo.
The Unos Cosmo.
It was a 2-door luxury automatic 3-rotor twin turbo Mazda thing. And it's really funny that you bring that
You
up
are
because
a walking encyclopedia.
I was just looking them up the other day because I want to buy one.
it's the hyperinflation, Japanese auto manufacturer,
Yes.
the 80s and 90s.
But
you
yeah,
know?
so this was probably one of the cooler rotaries that Mazda built. We never got them here. And I think if you want to buy one right now, it's like they never came manual. I don't think they ever came manual. And for a nice one, it's like $40,000-$50,000.
Oh wow, that's a lot. That's
For
a
a
lot of money
3-rotor where the parts probably don't exist. And you're
people probably buy it just for the 3-rotor.
oh yeah, because like there's
Can't
no
really find
other
those.
I don't think there's any other production 3-rotor
No.
thing out there that you could easily obtain.
I think there's like some shop in Australia or New Zealand that like builds 3-rotors though, and like they're the main. Maybe Connecticut or something
Yeah,
like that. There's a guy
I'm
in
pretty sure there's like
Connecticut that-
places and but it's gonna cost you. It's gonna
Yeah,
cost you.
yeah.
You know, we're not all Rob down. We do not have unlimited
No.
supplies of rotors and rotor cars.
Just yeah.
But continue, James.
Yeah, so my dad had a 5-speed. I guess it was a 323 Protege, a red one, and I just loved driving that as a kid. Like he would just drive it back and forth between our house and the train station. We lived in Chicago at the time, and then my mom had a Ford Explorer, like an 01 Ford Explorer, or no, not 01. I'm sorry, a 1994 Ford
So
Explorer.
this is before the
Yeah.
Ford Explorer got big.
Yeah, it was like
but it was
still
the
kind
body
of
on frame truck.
Yes.
body on frame truck, big knobby tires or whatever, and this was the cool. It had a sunroof, and it had a car phone.
Oh,
Yeah, like like you could.
did not
know.
know Ford Explorers came with car phones.
Well, either she installed it or it came with one. And she used to use that thing all the time. Like this was before like distracting driving and stuff
Right.
like that was like a thing. She was always on that
Mom was
thing.
just like, "Hello, I'm on
Yeah.
my way to the bank right now."
Exactly,
like at the
exactly.
grocery store, girl.
Yeah, I grew up in the back of that car a lot.
Tell me about in the back of that car. I had a friend's mom that had one of those, and she'd drive us to school, and it had a lap belt in the back. Right, there were no
Yeah,
shoulder
it
straps,
had
Yeah,
a
they had
lap
lap
belt.
belts.
and that belt would like lock, and it would just keep getting tighter.
It
and
was
tighter
tight.
And tighter.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. Either like the vibration of the car, which is continuously to get it
There's
tighter.
probably like some recall out there. Passenger gets broken in half.
Oh man,
In an
yeah.
accident. We need to figure out this lap belt.
Typical Ford stuff. But
Yes.
anyways, after that, my dad was making good money. He was in finance, and then he decided to get like upgrade, and we got I think it was a Mercedes, either a 300e or a 190e.
Oh.
This was like the first year I think for 300e because I think that was like 1990. Yeah, around the same time, 1994, 1995.
Okay.
That would have been like first year W.
201, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That was a cool car. That was like champagne on tan.
Every
Yeah, it
Mercedes
had like
from that
it had like the
generation.
wipers on the headlights or whatever. I have pictures
That's how you
of
know
it
you have
somewhere.
money.
1994. So the listeners are going to correct us all. It was probably after the naming scheme changed, so it would have been an E320
Wasn't
or
it,
E3. Yeah, I think E320, right?
was it E320 after that year? Or was it E300 like from 91 to 93 was E300 and then 94 95?
91 to 93 would have been 300E.
Right. So it
And
must have
then
been a 93 then.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I am not versed in the Mercedes world, so
We were like a Mercedes people. Like after that
Really?
point, we were Mercedes people. So we moved. My dad was in finance, so we moved to London for we lived there for about 4 years, and like he really wanted another Mercedes, but he wanted like a big body Benz. But the roads there were so small, but he was like American and wanted like a big, he didn't want it like
I will take up the entire.
He didn't want like a small
B road.
like the Ford, like a Ford Festiva, Honda, whatever, like Vauxhall, whatever, like all these like tiny, like their version of K cars, right? So my dad went to the Mercedes-Benz dealership of London, and he told the sales guys, like, what is the biggest car I can get? Like, oh, sir, we have the brand new S500. Would you care to take a look at it? And he's like, sold. White car.
W140?
W140, white.
So,
but the thing was, in Europe, they had a short wheelbase and a long wheelbase.
Yeah.
I think in the States, we only got the long wheelbase.
yes, we laugh because Jeremy literally just picked up one of these for how much money?
500, you're right. We only got the long wheelbase.
Yeah.
Here. In the
But you could get the
600 cars,
V6,
you
the
could get-
S320. You could get
In
a
the
short
short
wheelbase, right?
I just bought a white W140 last October.
Are you serious?
I rescued
You
it.
still have it?
Yeah.
It's my daily. Well, when I don't ride my bike, it's my daily commuter to work.
Oh, dude, that's like my childhood dream, dream car.
I saved it
It's
from the
massive.
scrapyard.
Yeah, I mean,
$1,500.
they're amazing cars. Like even to this day, it had automatic closed boot.
Yeah.
It had automatic door locking and
Have
everything.
the automatic or powered rear view mirror.
Powered rear view mirror. Dude, the thing, like the option, like it was a fully optioned car. And the thing was so like everybody thought my dad was like a gangster,
The
like
mafia.
in the mafia, like an American, because he had a really thick New York accent too. And just people would just assume American, giant, white body, big body Benz, just assumptions everywhere. And then for my mom's like birthday or something like that, we're he was doing pretty well, and he bought a SL 320 convertible.
R129.
R129.
Yeah.
But it was a 320, so
Yep.
it wasn't the 500.
Okay.
And I just remember like the grates on it. It was red on, I think it was red on black or red on gray. And it had these like, black grates and stuff like that. And he had the hard top with it or whatever. Dude, that car was also pretty baller
beautiful
too.
car.
I bet.
Yeah, super comfortable, like big seats. Just everything about that car was so luxurious. And then those were pretty much the cars that we had in London. And then I really started getting into cars like when I turned 16. I got a Subaru Legacy GT.
Ooh.
It was a 2.5 liter turbo.
Yeah,
It was not
pretty
a
much
Spec B.
Was that a flat 4 or flat 6?
Flat 4.
Flat
so
four, yeah.
the flat 6 was the 3.0R.
Yes, and you
Yeah.
could get it. Yeah, the 3.0R, but that came. What did that come in? There was the Subaru Coupe
The Legacy,
thing,
right?
Yeah,
oh,
you could get
the SVX?
the
SVX,
and you could
that
also
was
get it
earlier though.
Yeah.
My Legacy was an '08.
Yeah, but you could also get it in the Legacy as well.
But I heard that the car that I got, it was a Subaru Legacy 2.5 liter turbo limited. As a 5-speed. There's only 3 of them in the country in that year.
Wow.
Black.
Wow.
Only 3 of them.
Wow.
And I destroyed that car.
I bet you did. Like
oh my
everybody else
God.
who had one.
I just murdered. Oh my God. Because it had the STI motor. It only
Yeah.
made about 250 horsepower. But it had torque though, because it had like the little twin scroll turbo on it.
And it was a
made,
good looking sedan.
it was
too.
a good, like perfectly sized all wheel drive. Just the biggest problem with that car, the reason why I would probably, if I were to do it all over again, get the Spec B, was the 5-speed that came in it was just dog.
And
It
I
was just
remember hearing about that.
horrible. The synchros would never were so slow, so you'd like try to like slam the gear, and then like the synchro couldn't keep up with you, and it would just the car would.
Yeah, that's a problem I had with my dad's Mustang because I was like the first car I learned how to drive manual on. It was definitely like
It just literally
you have
would
to
go in
hesitate
gear.
in the you have to hesitate in neutral and then go into gear.
Yeah, it's
like
so strange.
did not want you to be a race car
gearbox
driver.
is horrible because the Spec B, which still had the same power, maybe it had like 10 horsepower more, had the STI 6-speed. I think it was a Getrag transmission.
Okay.
Either that. Yeah, I think it was like a German
Probably.
transmission. So that was like my car that really got me into cars. But even before that, I had all the car magazines like Car and Driver, Super Street, Need for Speed, all those video games. like just like in London, I saw a blue Diablo 6.0 or whatever. Or no, before the 6.0, I think it was a VT. And I told my dad to just chase after that car. Like, just keep
Follow that.
follow it.
That
And the thing was
Lamborghini.
just so like it's like none like in the sea of like it's like eco cars and limit
Yeah, because this was during the time of front wheel drive economy. Everything.
Yeah, this was 99, I think, or 90.
Yeah.
This was either 97 or 98. And just seeing that thing on the road, on the highway in London was just like, just seeing it like a unicorn. Like, what is that thing? And it was fast. It was loud. It was so cool. So, like, ever since then, I was always into cars. But the problem with being in Chicago was the weather was terrible.
Right.
So having like a dedicated sports car was like really, really hard.
Yeah,
Like,
it
that's
was
why
the same problem in Michigan.
Yeah.
And I remember like a very pivotal moment where I was like, dang, I really like cars. We were going down 75 towards like downtown Detroit. And this was probably like the first time I saw a supercar in the wild. And it was a yellow 360. And I was
Ferrari
like,
360.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
now I just still really want a 360. It was a yellow convertible 360, and I would never forget seeing that car.
Oh, that's cool.
It's kind of funny how we take cars like that for granted here because you go to Cars
Car
and
show,
Coffee
yeah.
and it's Saturday
Bay Area,
morning
yeah.
and
Bay Area Cars
Everyone-
and Coffee.
Oh, it's
Let me
Run what you
just
brung.
pull up in my Pagani that I
Yeah.
daily drive.
yeah.
Or
Chiron.
one of my
Yeah,
or one
right.
of
My Bugatti one of 4 Bugatti Chirons I have.
It's really funny.
We live in a bubble when it comes to car
it's
culture.
totally
I
a
think,
bubble.
like SoCal definitely has their own car culture, but Northern California, because of the tech money and
Yeah.
things like that,
Yeah.
it's just like even there. It's just like the hidden, like the unknown billionaire.
Yeah.
just will show
Just
up with
show
a
up.
McLaren F1.
Right, and it's just because, and they they pull it out every special occasion. Also, just here in the Bay Area is every single Porsche GT car that has ever
Sure.
existed.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody has.
Because they're great
one.
cars. I
They're
mean, great
wonderful.
cars. Yeah.
But everybody here has one.
Yeah.
Do you still have yours?
No, I sold. So I had a 991.1 GT3. It was a 2015. So I had that what do you call that, finger follower issue where like it would just spontaneously combust and
Yes.
lose oil pressure and the whole car would just explode.
Which Porsche had like a whole warranty.
That's a
for
whole
that.
nother. We could talk about that for like a whole another episode. Mine never exploded, but I sold that car. I bought it in like July or June of 2020, like deep into pandemic, and it was from Mazda Marin. I love this story. So it was Mazda Marin. Like
Lord.
no. What I did
How did
was
they get
like
this
I was just
thing?
super bored. I had a Dodge Hellcat Charger. That's a whole another story too. And I took it on the track. I took that Dodge to Laguna Seca, and the car was such a dog. Like it was driving like a sofa.
Yeah.
On track, and just all these like little BMWs and Porsches were just like whizzing by me. I was like, dude, I have 707 horsepower. What?
And
is-
I'm not going
I'm not
anywhere.
I'm not going anywhere. This is stupid. So right after that, I got onto Auto Tempest because it like aggregates. It goes through like Car Gurus and a bunch of other
Yes,
people.
yes.
And I literally typed in Porsche 911. I think it was GT3 or it was just 911. And I just said cheap. Like the cheapest sorted by
The
cheap.
give me the cheapest one. You
Literally.
got.
And I was like, oh, there's this 2015 911. I never knew about the GT3 really. Like that I saw like from Chris Harris because that year of 991 GT3 was the first year for automatic only. Like it was
Right.
PDK only.
Right.
It was first for it was not Metzger motor.
Right. That's
Right.
the end
It
of
was I think it was direct injection 2. And then also had rear wheel steer and electric steering. That
Yep.
was like
That was
the
like
big
the-
change for 991 GT3. Because the 997 was still Metzger motor, was no rear wheel steer, still hydraulic steering,
Still manual.
still
manual.
manual, all manual.
Was 2015 the first year for the 991 GT3?
14.
14.
14 model year, but maybe in Europe they were getting them in 13.
Okay.
a little earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were getting model year 14 and a half maybe because there are a lot of 2014s. There's a lot of 2014s and a lot of 2015s. There's no 2016s.
Right.
Very, very rare 2016s. So anyways, so I find like I go to Mazda Marin and it's like, it's not Mazda Marin. It's like the guy who owns Monster Marin, like the father, it's the son's dealership.
Oh,
And he's got this like Euro, buying cars at auction thing going on or
you got,
whatever.
like, some extra space.
There's like
that
a
I can
Land
use.
Rover for sale, G-Wagon, a 6 Series that has like kind of clapped out and has 80,000 miles. And then just sitting in the showroom was a black on black GT3 991.1, and it only had like 15,000 miles. I'm like, what this like? And he had it priced at like 115 or 100. I like knocked him down, of course.
Right.
But it was a stripper spec. It didn't have a carbon buckets, didn't have
Got the
that.
sport seats.
Steel brakes, big gas tank, and front nose lift were the only options on it. No,
So basically,
like,
really usable for
Yes,
this area.
right.
yeah, like
The one that you
regulars-
could drive every day and
You
not be
could, yeah.
like,
The one you,
dang.
Not
Like,
even the electric seats. It had like the manual seats or
Right.
whatever. I
You
think
know.
it just had sport.
you didn't
It
have
had
to worry
electric,
about
like
a rock in your carbon ceramic brakes.
yeah,
You
didn't
know?
no crazy stitching, no Porsche in the head crest and the headrest. It was like literally probably the lowest option car
The perfect track
ever, and
vehicle.
it was like a one owner car that was bought new in L.A.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and somehow it made its way to Northern California. I think maybe it was a two owner car. Actually, there's a funny story about that too. The second owner is Silicon Valley,
Okay.
SVG or
Oh,
whatever.
those guys. Yeah.
He was a previous owner for that car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was the one that put another 10K miles on it.
Oh.
And I think they were trying to sell it, but never sold because it's such a low option car for a Porsche on the used car market for a GT3. That those like having no option on it is basically unsellable.
Yeah.
Of course, it was just like
Yeah,
I'm
and now
getting that.
people want like
So I bought it. I bought it for like 112 or something like that, or 130. Yeah, I was like, they were trying to get it away, try to sell for 120, and I knocked them down to 112 because it was just the options on it were so bad, or like very minimal options, and I just
right.
drove the crap out of it. Right, like I did a bunch of suspension work to it, got a
Right.
big brake kit, and then I put 35,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
To basically 45,000 miles, and I sold it for basically the same price I bought it in 2021, like late 2021.
Porsches are probably like the only cars you can do that with.
Dude, it was so funny. Like I financed a car and I owed like 90 on it or whatever, and I got like 20K back. What the f?
So sick. So sick.
Can you do that anymore?
Yeah, I mean, if you do it right, because like Porsches are climbing, they
If you
will not
could
stop.
buy a GT car at MSRP, I guess you could flip it.
Yeah, like
for money
the next day. But even if you drove it for an entire year and put,
and still get money out
you
of
still
it.
get money out of it.
That's so crazy to me, man.
Yeah, which is like
I don't think there's any other car brand that you can do that. Maybe save Ferrari,
you'd
but
have to
the
get
Ferrari,
the right
like,
Ferrari in the right color with
because it
the
couldn't
right
be a
options.
Roma, it couldn't be a T, it couldn't. Not even SF90s. They're just they can't get rid of them.
They can't. So if you
Like-
tried to do with any other car, it'd have to be like the Ferrari that everybody wants. So it'd have to be like an
A Daytona,
812,
812.
one of the front engine V12 Ferraris. You bought it cheap,
Yeah.
or you bought it at MSRP.
Yeah.
You drove it for the year,
Yeah.
and because they always come out with a new one that's always more expensive, it'll always drive up the value
Yeah.
of yours.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was a point in time where the F12 Berlinetta came out, and they were like, I don't know what the MSRP on it was, but they had got to
They're
like
expensive.
right, but they had got down to like low
200s.
no 150s. You could pick up
What?
a F12 for like one. This was like 2016, 2018, like a while ago. You pick up
Okay.
an F12 for like 150
Well,
grand.
because the service the car too was just like
Exactly.
12-cylinder Ferrari.
Yeah.
Right.
Where like each spark plug is like your firstborn child or something like that. It's so stupid.
It's a sacrifice. But now,
man.
F12s are 200-300.
Wait, they came back up?
Yeah, they came way back up to
Why?
like 2. Well, COVID did a lot of that.
Okay.
But then also just because when the A12 came out, and then now we have the 12 cylindre or cylindre,
Oh,
the 12
the new
cylinder. Yeah. But as these cars get more and more expensive and people yearn more and more for the old,
Naturally aspirated.
we'll definitely get into that in our next podcast, where I'll go into more of my life at Volkswagen Group and electrification and what it's kind of doing to the automotive industry. But with all of that in mind, people want those old analog feeling cars.
Yeah.
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 So
Wow, we're coming up on time, aren't we?
We are,
Wow,
but
that was
I mean,
almost an hour.
yeah. But
Wow.
now
Time
everybody,
flies when you're having fun.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's been fun.
everybody knows about us now.
I think, relatively speaking,
Yeah. They're gonna get to know us even more.
I mean, if you really want to get to know us, just find us at like Alice's or like a car show. Like,
Yeah.
we're just around in the Bay Area.
we're always
we're always lurking.
We'll be at Cars and Coffee.
Where are we
tomorrow.
driving right now?
Oh, okay. So what are we driving right now?
Yeah.
I
Oh.
have a mom mobile. I have a Volvo XC90.
Yeah.
To pick up all 7 of my children that I don't have.
Sure.
And then, and then I also have a big turbo F30 that probably
it's a single turbo, right?
Single turbo.
Yeah.
Probably makes like 500 horsepower. Not constantly has issues. It has issues every once in a while.
Constantly broken.
As a modified, it was broken last weekend. It's running right now though, very good.
Tell the audience what an F30 is.
Oh, so I have a 2014 335i.
Right.
Yes, that is for the non-car people.
And originally it came stock with a twin turbo motor, right?
Nope, that
was
was
a single
that
motor.
was the E chassis 3 Series.
Oh.
The F chassis 3 Series was the introduction of the twin scroll turbo, single
Okay.
turbo
Okay.
setup. I'd probably kill myself if I had an N54 because they are not the easiest things to work on
Okay.
or tune.
What is it, an N50?
So I have an N55,
N55.
which was then superseded by a B58,
Right.
which is 2 cylinders more than the B48 that was in my Mini Cooper.
Oh. Was
BMW
it kind of the same block,
lower.
but they just extended it? Or
I wouldn't
whatever?
be surprised. I mean, you got to save money
Man.
somewhere. So,
So cheap.
Jeremy, what are you driving right now? You have a whole plethora of vehicles.
I have a fleet. So I've got an illness. I love cheap cars are the best
Yeah.
because they're fun to play with,
Right.
and fix up,
Exactly.
and you don't worry about them.
Because they were cheap.
So today I'm driving a 2013 Boxster.
Ooh.
How many miles does this
Boxer
Boxster have
S
on it?
base.
Boxster base, 6-speed manual, lightly optioned,
You can see
I
it. It's
want
outside.
one.
in mahogany metallic with a brown top. It's my wife's car.
Oh, I love it.
It has 205,000 miles on it.
Are you serious?
It costs less than half the going rate for 2013 Boxsters.
Wow.
So that's just what I'm driving today.
It's a six. Is it a 6-cylinder or is it the 4-banger?
No, it's
Those
a it's
did
a
not
it's
come
a
with the
dot one. So
four-banger.
It's a dot one.
It's a 6.
Okay, it's a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a 991.1, also
Okay.
a base
911.
911. It's low mileage.
Okay.
It's a garage queen.
Yeah.
I have a 93 850 CSI.
And
Oh, yeah, I've seen pictures
of
of
that.
that.
Daytona
Yeah.
Violet.
Yes. My
It's-
dream car.
Yeah. It's for another episode, but
Yeah.
don't- you know, the
Talk about
saying,
broken
don't
BMWs.
meet your heroes. Hey, I've got new injectors and a new fuel pump for it sitting
So
at home.
Yay.
12-cylinder. I think it has twin fuel pumps.
So-
yes.
2 ECUs.
Essentially, everything is split
right.
from the fuel
Because
pump.
it's 16-bit, right? Like
Right.
back in the day, they
Right,
didn't have
this was
32-bit
pre-OBD2.
It's
processor.
just all joined at the crankshaft.
Yeah.
Right, which everybody had fun doing. They're like, oh, we need a bigger motor. We're just going to put 2 of our good motors together and give it 2 of everything.
And then it's not as good,
Not
or
as good.
reliable. It's archaic, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like the ultimate in BMW technology at the time, but it's
But a gorgeous car and
It's a
very well
s-
forgotten. Like nobody.
yeah.
The best way I could compare like those types of cars were like Porsche 928s with the V8
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the dog leg 4-speed or 5-speed. Because I had this weird mixture of like fuel injected V8 but like
Yeah.
analog steering and a dog leg 5-speed. And then like an electric hatch. It's just the combination
It
of
was a
stuff
strange
is so
combination.
strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the car drives great. I'm sure that car drives like nothing else on the road really, if you think about it.
yeah. I mean, it's a big,
It's a big GT.
comfy GT cruiser
with
Yeah.
a 6-speed manual.
with a 6-speed manual.
Yeah, which is
V12
pretty cool.
manuals are
Not many V12 manuals.
Right.
Not too many. So there's that, and then there's we already mentioned my W140 500
Sick.
SEL.
Right.
Sick.
First
sick.
year.
Oh,
W140.
it's a SEL.
It's an SEL. Yeah.
Ooh.
Long wheelbase.
Extra long. I've seen it. It's pretty long car.
How many is that?
That's all of them except for
The Ioniq 5.
the Ioniq 5.
How do you like the Ioniq 5?
It's a great appliance.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
it's A to B.
It's A to B.
Get in, forget about
if
it.
you want
go.
a thrill, you can romp down on the throttle and it accelerates
Yeah.
fast.
The Maytag.
I've wanted an Ioniq 5.
Yeah.
You know?
I think they're really cool.
You can lease them cheap now.
Yes,
Oh,
because
how
dirt
much? Like
cheap.
$300 a month?
we'll
I
get
think
into
less than
that.
Really?
Yeah, it's let me tell you something. The EV market is at
It's-
the moment.
That's what I tell everybody. If they want to buy an electric car, just lease it. Like, don't finance
perfect.
it.
Perfect
yeah,
deal.
Lease it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The tech doesn't stop. It doesn't stay still, right?
Yeah.
It's another reason to lease it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. James, what are you?
Where am I driving right now? I'm driving a BMW M3 F80. The model year is 2017.
Nice.
Fully, I mean, that whoever bought it, whoever optioned it or bought it new from
every box.
MSRP, the depreciation on that car is just nuts. Like, I think the person had, I think base, it was like 60 or 70, and the guy put like 20 grand worth of options on it. Like, the comp package was like another $5,000. The sunroof was like 3 or something, 2.5. It had the lighting package, executive package, so like all the window shades in the back and stuff like that.
Everything.
But you know how
And an
cheap?
M3.
You know, I got a thing about BMW. Okay, like sometimes they're great, right? Great cars, ultimate driving machine,
Right.
But dude, you're paying $90,000 for a 3 Series. Could you at least put memory seats on the passenger side?
It does not have memory
Please?
seats.
It doesn't have
Mine
memory
doesn't
seats.
either.
No.
Mine only has memory on the driver, and I have a fully
I feel
loaded
like a
3
lot
Series.
of German, like VW does that
Yeah.
too. On my Golf, so I had a 2019 Golf R. I had full electric seats on the driver's side, but literally manual seats on the passenger side.
Oh, you know,
The
the
991
passengers,
is-
they are not driving. You do not need.
What the F?
Yeah.
The
No.
991's memory only on the driver's side as well.
Yeah, no. Well, my Swedish Volvo has memory seats, 3 position on driver and passenger.
Sweets, man, they got to be comfy.
But then also it's a sports car, so they
Yeah.
think about it as like you're not. Well, they're like, why are you gonna have more than one person in a
Yeah,
you
but
know
my like
4
short
seater, 4
girlfriend has to
sort?
keep adjusting her seat when other people are like in the seat, and she gets a little like
Yeah,
frustrated,
homegirl is-
like
yeah.
you know.
You're going to make me go home and open the passenger door on the 850.
Oh,
It has to have memory.
I would
on the
we
assume.
gotta
side.
find out.
But I'll be honest, I don't know. I got to go look at
I mean, that was
That car-
$100,000 car back then.
Back, what year was it again?
93.
Yeah, I mean that car was expensive.
Oh yeah,
They were
Really
expensive.
expensive, especially
And
the 12
nobody bought
cylinders. And I feel like you could get that car with like a fax machine in it. It was like that kind of, you know what I'm saying? It was like that kind of car. It had a telephone,
They did have the BMW car
fax
phone.
machine.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
For sure,
They-
the E30, I don't know about the E32, the E38 7 Series.
They had a
absolutely.
fax machine in it. I swear to God.
There was a fax machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an option. Like, you're an important German CEO driving on the
I must
Autobahn.
fax some.
Yeah,
I must send
people
out
would
my
send you
paperwork
faxes
right
and stuff.
now.
100%. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
hilarious.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
like
wow.
there's a really, I gotta find it somewhere on YouTube, but there was a story about, it was a Porsche story. They were interviewing somebody that owned a Porsche Turbo from new. I forgot if it was a 997.1 or it was like a 996 turbo. But he owned it from new, put like 300,000 kilometers on it, and he owned like a consulting business. And instead of flying, he would drive everywhere. And he had a fax machine and a telephone in it.
He was doing it big.
And he was just literally on the road for like 10 hours a day, just up and down the Autobahn, just
Wow.
flat. Like,
living the dream.
you know, they could look at all his logs and stuff. And he was doing like 200 miles an hour.
Oh,
There's
God.
also that old famous story of like somebody owning like a McLaren F1, and he, on his like daily commute, he was hitting 200 like every day. Because I think because
buy the cars for a reason.
McLaren could monitor the car remotely, like very early, right?
Right.
You know, there's
Yeah.
like one of the first car manufacturers that could do that. They called him and said, "Hey, your car's misfiring. We're gonna fly somebody out and fix it." And they looked up like the logs of like how
Right.
often, like how the car was running, and they were seeing VMAX, like every day VMAX for like for a sustained period of time.
The German
like
Autobahn.
15 minutes. This guy was
testament
at
to the
200.
durability of those engines.
Right.
Really.
I mean, which
It was a
is-
BMW
and
motor,
it was-
right?
It was very
Yeah, it
similar
was-
to the motor that you have in your car. A much higher.
No, I mean like
Well,
same architecture.
Sure.
It was,
Yes.
I think the block was the same or similar, but it was a twin cam.
Right. It
Which
had a lot
guys-
more
yeah,
going
different
on.
stuff on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget how many kilos. It's like 200 kilos or 300 kilos and make 550 horsepower. But like BMW M apologized and said, "Oh, sorry, Mr. Gordon-Murray. We the engine weighs a little bit more, but it makes 600 PS." I think it makes more than that. I think it made like 620.
And a very
like
gorgeous
that.
looking
Yeah.
motor at that too, with
Oh,
the
yeah,
roof scoop
yeah.
and everything. So
Yeah. Cool car. Yeah.
cool car.
Anyways.
Very cool.
Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this
We're gonna
one
wrap.
up.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap.
We're gonna talk about the future of electrification next.
Okay.
The next time we all meet again.
Boo, electrification.
Yeah, you want your screaming loud V8.
No,
It's
there's
coming.
something. There's
It's-
something to be said about a car that can blow away a demon
Sure.
Right.
silently.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm
Especially
not
the
going to
new
argue.
I
Charger.
with
know
that.
there's a lot of
Oh,
people.
I can't wait to talk
that
about the new
disagree
Charger.
with me on this.
I think the future of cars will definitely be electric and electrification, but at the same time, of course, enthusiasts.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
But we'll find out next time.
On the next
Next time.
episode.
Next time. All
All
right.
right. Thanks. See everybody
Bye.
later.
See ya.
Bye. Cool. Good job, everybody.